There are movies that entertain, and then there are movies that haunt you. Django Unchained isn't just another Quentin Tarantino film. It's a brutal mirror, one that forces us to look straight into the rotting soul of American history.
Django, Django, have you always been alone?
Released in 2012, Django Unchained exploded onto screens like a gunshot in a silent room. It shocked, thrilled, and divided audiences, but most of all, it reminded the world that art can still provoke. Beneath its outrageous violence and razor-sharp dialogue lies a film built entirely on symbolism. Every color, every name, every scream carefully chosen to say something deeper about freedom, power, and guilt. This isn't just the story of a freed slave seeking revenge. It's the story of America confronting its own reflection and barely recognizing what it sees. But before we uncover Tarantino's blood-stained masterpiece, we need to understand the foundation it was built on, a world born from cruelty and repainted with vengeance. Tarantino didn't just make a Western, he made the anti-Western, a revenge epic set in a time when justice didn't exist. Django Unchained takes everything Hollywood once romanticized, cowboys, plantations, Southern honor, and burns it to ash. In classic spaghetti Western style, Django walks through dust and gunfire. But his weapon isn't just a pistol, it's a symbol. Every pull of the trigger echoes generations of silenced voices. The blood that spills isn't entertainment, it's history. I wanted to make a movie that's about America's sin, but told like a legend. And that's exactly what Django is. A myth forged from pain. The story begins in chains, but it's not about bondage. It's about the journey to self-ownership. Django's gun doesn't just kill, it rewrites the narrative of who gets to hold power. But beneath the blood and bullets, there's something else, something gentler, a heartbeat that makes Django's fury human. At the heart of Django Unchained isn't vengeance, it's love. Tarantino based Django and Brunhilde's relationship on a German legend, Siegfried and Brunhilde, a story about a man who crosses fire and faces gods to rescue his beloved. Dr. King Schultz, the German dentist turned bounty hunter, introduces this myth early on, and in doing so, he plants the film's moral seed. Schultz isn't just Django's mentor, he's his mythmaker, the European outsider who sees nobility in a man America called property. The symbolism is powerful. The German who once fled tyranny becomes the man who frees the slave from it. Django's name itself, a nod to the 1966 Italian Western, ties him to a cinematic lineage of rebellion. Their bond isn't transactional, it's spiritual. Schultz gives Django the tools to fight, but it's love that gives him purpose. But this mythic partnership almost never existed, because the man Tarantino wanted for Django said no. When Tarantino first imagined Django, he saw one face, Will Smith, the biggest movie star in the world, a symbol of charisma, strength, and clean-cut heroism. Smith read the script and turned it down. Why? Because he believed the story was about vengeance, when he wanted it to be about love. He told Tarantino, "I wanted to make the greatest love story of all time." Tarantino refused to soften it. He wanted the rage, the violence, the ugliness, the version of history America tries to bury. And in that moment, their visions clashed. When Jamie Foxx stepped in, everything changed. Foxx didn't play Django as a loud, showy hero. He played him as a man whose silence screamed louder than words. His calm became power, his restraint, his weapon. Django became something Will Smith couldn't have been. Not a hero saving love, but a man earning his humanity back through fire. But for every hero, there must be a villain, and Tarantino created one so monstrous, even he admitted he hated him. Leonardo DiCaprio's Calvin Candy isn't just evil, he's evil with a smile. A French-speaking plantation owner obsessed with beauty, science, and control. He's the face of corruption disguised as charm. Tarantino said, "I detested this character. I really hated him," and yet he couldn't look away. Because Candy represents something horrifyingly real. The sophistication of cruelty. His rotting teeth are a symbol, sweetness decaying into filth. A man literally rotting from within. His fascination with phrenology, the fake science that proved racial hierarchy, reflects the lengths people will go to justify their power. On set, DiCaprio struggled. He didn't want to say the slurs, to go that far. But Samuel L. Jackson pulled him aside and said, "This is just another Tuesday for us." And from that moment, Leo became Candy, a devil wrapped in silk, smiling while the world burns. But in one unforgettable scene, that smile cracked, and the fiction bled into reality. It's one of the most chilling behind-the-scenes stories in modern cinema. During the dinner sequence, DiCaprio slammed his hand on the table, right into a glass. It shattered. Real blood spilled. Everyone froze. But Leo didn't stop. He kept going, his face twisted with fury, his blood dripping across the pristine white tablecloth. That wasn't acting anymore. That was possession. Tarantino didn't yell, "Cut." He let the scene play out. And in doing so, he immortalized it. Real pain became part of the film's DNA, a moment where art and suffering became one. Symbolically, it's the movie's essence in miniature, blood-staining luxury, truth-piercing illusion. But as Django's story ended, Tarantino wasn't finished. He had one more chapter to tell, in the snow. After Django Unchained, Tarantino began writing a sequel titled Django in White Hell. It opened with Django in a blizzard, riding a stagecoach toward a lonely cabin. Sound familiar? That's because it evolved into The Hateful Eight. At first, Django was the protagonist, but Tarantino realized the story couldn't work. Django was too moral, too good. In Tarantino's universe, everyone needs a shade of grey. So he removed Django entirely. But his shadow remained. Connections tie Django Unchained to Tarantino's other films. Paula Schultz's grave in Kill Bill Voller. 2 hints, she was Dr. Schultz's wife. The bounty poster for Crazy Craig Coons links to Pulp Fiction's Captain Coons. Tarantino doesn't write movies, he builds worlds. Every revenge story exists in the same moral limbo, where justice always costs blood. But even that universe had secrets buried deep in the editing room. Few people know how dark Django Unchained really was. Entire scenes were cut because they crossed even Tarantino's line. In one deleted sequence, Django humiliates Stephen, Samuel L. Jackson's cunning house slave, throwing water in his face and stomping him into the dirt. Later, Stephen's revenge was meant to be horrific, burning Django's chest while he hung upside down. Tarantino removed it, fearing the audience's empathy would shatter. Even monsters need balance. Another lost character, Ace Woody, played briefly by Kevin Costner, then Kurt Russell, was Calvin Candy's violent enforcer. His scenes showed Candyland as a full empire of cruelty, where killing slaves was a game. But time, tension, and production chaos buried him. And so, the Django we saw, already brutal, was actually toned down. The real version might have been unwatchable. Yet even the smallest details that survived still carried meaning, right down to Django's blue suit. When Django walks into Big Daddy's plantation in that absurdly bright blue outfit, it's easy to laugh. But that suit is everything. Inspired by the 18th century painting The Blue Boy, it's a statement. Dignity, color, identity. A freed man dressed like European royalty, standing defiantly in a world that called him less than human. His sunglasses, another anachronism, symbolize modernity. Django isn't living in the past anymore. He's walking into the future. Even Dr. Schultz's background as a dentist isn't random. He cleans decay, just as he purges moral rot from the world. When he dies, the metaphor is clear. The decay wins for a moment, but Django carries his light forward. By the film's end, Django isn't a myth. He's an idea, the reimagined American hero, born from oppression and forged in revenge. But his story didn't die there. It lived on, behind a mask. In 2014, Tarantino co-wrote Django Zorro, a comic sequel where Django teams up with the legendary swordsman to free the oppressed once again. It's poetic. 2 vigilantes from different worlds uniting for one cause: liberation. Yet Tarantino refused to direct its film adaptation. Why? Because he plans to retire after his 10th movie, and he doesn't want to end on a crossover. The irony is staggering. Tarantino, a man obsessed with vengeance and control, created a character who represents freedom and defiance. Django isn't just a hero, he's Tarantino's conscience, the proof that revenge can be both justice and tragedy. In Django Unchained, freedom is won through violence, and love is redeemed through blood. It's an uncomfortable truth, one that forces us to question whether the cycle ever really ends. So what does Django Unchained really mean? Maybe it's not about slavery at all. Maybe it's about ownership of one's body, story, and destiny. Tarantino wrapped history in myth, brutality in beauty, until the line between right and wrong disappeared, and somewhere between vengeance and love, Django became immortal. He's the ghost of America's guilt, the man who turned pain into power. So the next time you watch him ride away from Candyland, remember, he's not just escaping, he's rewriting history in every hoofbeat. Was Django a hero, or just another reflection of the violence he fought against? That's for you to decide. If you want more cinematic deep dives into how film rewrites history, hit that like button and subscribe for the next story behind the screen, because sometimes the truth hides in the blood